T'Challa the Black Panther. In the Mandate Chapter 1 Togolese Republic, the roadside pharmacy was a front for the Wakanda Secret Service. T'Challa waited in a back room for the appearance of the spy Nakia. She arrived in a convoy of black jeeps. The crew that she traveled with accompanied her into the pharmacy to get various items. Nakia paid for a beverage at a kiosk. Her report on the activities on the crew was written on the banknote that she used. The kiosk deciphered the invisible shorthand text on the banknote and sent the information to the back room. Nakia and the convoy left. Her note read, "Colonel Olatunji is radicalized. He believes that Western secret services posing as the European Union Secretariat are advising the African Union on both the open border integrations and the single currency with the aim of helping their criminal backers transition into Africa. Olatunji wants to destabilize the integration process until he can get hard proof. His tactics will be bombings of the Intercontinental Railroad and sabotage." T'Challa saw the irony. The crew that Nakia was embedded with were a part of a network of African Union military experts mandated to tour the continent to find weaknesses in border security that could be exploited by criminals. T'Challa left Togolese Republic and he went to the African Union headquarters in Ethiopia. His Black Panther uniform transformed into an African-styled business suit. His impromptu visit caused a shock in the Secretariat because Wakanda was recently voted out as an honorary member of the African Union under the behest of the last chairperson Dr. Alex Soberg. The new chairperson was in a meeting when T'Challa arrived, but she made time to see him. "Are you here about the letter that I sent?" "Yes," replied T'Challa. "Wakanda has to turn down your request to be a part of the Open Borders program, and vibranium will not be used to back the O's single currency." "That is unfortunate, but I respect your decision," said the chairperson. "But Wakanda can help with security intelligence," said T'Challa. "What about funding? I noticed on the books that Wakanda's funding ended when Soberg became chairperson. I have reason to believe that Soberg and you have a disagreement. If only you and him could join forces again for the betterment of the continent. As we speak, he is using his mystic abilities to lay down tracks for the Intercontinental Railway in remote places of Africa. Imagine if we could add Wakanda's teleportation technologies," said the chairperson. T'Challa smiled even though he was angered by Soberg's manipulation of people. T'Challa was not about to hand money over to any group that had Soberg on its committees, even if it was the O. "The Soberg-Wakanda issue is not up for debate," said T'Challa. "Okay, well, thanks for meeting me in person. I know that you are very busy," said the chairperson, and then she left. Chapter 2 T'Challa ordered a background check on the European Union advisors to the O. The use of the advisors was not common knowledge because it was done through back channels to avoid a media scandal. T'Challa guessed that Colonel Olatunji's sabotage goals included leaking the information to discredit the chairperson as someone still in need of neo-colonial direction. The fact that the colonel was privy to such information pointed to a mole in the upper echelon of the African Union. It was no secret that criminals from the US, EU, the Middle East and China took refuge in Africa. Fisk aka Kingpin, The Hand, Hellfire's Club, and Rah Khan were some of the well-known unsavory operators in Africa. Olatunji was correct that the open borders and single currency would aid such people in money laundering and trafficking. T'Challa paused and backtracked his thinking because he forgot about Soberg. What would the charlatan gain from an increase in criminal activity on the continent? The answer would be more mandatory power from the O for both him and his meta-human team, the New Hope, to carry out their crime-fighting and security initiatives. Soberg may become the Emperor of Africa if his authority was left unchecked, T'Challa mused. The Foreign Spies Division contacted T'Challa to inform him that the bombing of the Intercontinental Railroad would begin within the hour. Nakia's warning message came from a kiosk in the Chad railway station and T'Challa teleported there immediately. The railroad was actually a series of tracks and trains. They were made from steel from the Congo, outfitted with goods manufactured in Ethiopia and computerized by technicians from Rwanda. The fuel was created by a mystical element that Soberg discovered, and it made the trains twice as fast as a normal bullet train. The Impala Express or Magic trains were the nicknames given to the 3 passenger units, 4 cargo units and a luxury unit. Colonel Olatunji targeted all of them at the Chad station. An invisible T'Challa found Nakia's scent in the crowded station. She boarded the luxury train that was en route to Egypt. T'Challa entered the train through the service door. He found Nakia in the lounge having drinks with 2 members of her crew. He tapped her on the shoulder. She casually glanced around and saw no one. T'Challa made an X-ray scan of her companions and they carried 3D printed guns. The train moved. T'Challa used the opportunity to tip the companions' drinks onto their clothes and they promptly left for the washroom. Then T'Challa whispered into Nakia's ear. "Is there a shadow member on the train?" "Yes. Most likely the Kenyan heiress to the right," whispered Nakia. "Where is the bomb?" "Room AC1 beneath the mirror." "How is Olatunji handling communications?" "I don't know," replied Nakia. "What is his escape plan?" "I have no idea," replied Nakia. T'Challa moved away as the companions returned. Chapter 3 T'Challa magnetized his boots and walked on the outside of the train to room AC1. He assumed that a silent alarm was on the room door, so he broke in from the window. He was correct about the alarm because a device was stuck on the door handle. T'Challa scanned the ceiling and he discovered a mini wireless surveillance camera over the mirror where the bomb was hidden. T'Challa used his face mask's built-in Kimoyo computer to trace where the wireless signals went to. But it was not several signals, instead it was one that went to the cargo train that was destined for Equatorial Guinea. T'Challa guessed that Colonel Olatunji was aboard that train. T'Challa teleported to it. T'Challa swiftly subdued Olatunji and took the tablet computer that the man carried. On the computer were the locations of the bombs and remote kill switches for each bomb, which T'Challa activated. Then T'Challa downloaded the contents of the tablet to the Kimoyo and searched the unconscious Olatunji. T'Challa broke the tablet and placed it in the colonel's hand, then he walked a short distance away and waited for the colonel to wake. An hour later, the train moved out of hyperspeed and it caused a jerk that woke Olatunji. He examined himself and grinned when he saw the tablet. He placed it to his side and cursed. The railway workers opened the train and started to offload items. Olatunji pretended to be a worker and snuck off. The Black Panther pursued him. The colonel made a call on his mobile and T'Challa traced the call to the train station in Angola. "Did anything happen?" asked Olatunji. "No sir," replied the Kali. "Go dark, pass it on," said the colonel. T'Challa signaled the Wakandan Secret Service to tag the Kali. Olatunji bought a SIM card from a phone dealer in the station. After the SIM card switch was made, he accessed the dark web and entered a private chat room. Mission failure. Unknown cause. Under review, the colonel wrote. "Meet me now," was the response. "My team needs further cover for the AWOL. I will see to it. We'll see you soon." Olatunji left the station with T'Challa behind him. Chapter 4 The White House U.S. President Bollinger's father was the former director of the Central Intelligence Agency, and that made his relations with spies very cordial because he understood how their world worked. "T'Challa appeared at the O headquarters today," said the intelligence advisor. "Why?" asked Bollinger. "The O sent a message to him and he was there to discuss it. But he should know that the place is under surveillance unless his appearance was to send a message to Soberg." "Glad that you mentioned Soberg because he is my next topic. Proceed." "Soberg is finally making his move for Africa." "Great. He can do a better job of buffering against China in Africa than the French did." "Sir, Soberg is going to destroy France. Our listening posts have picked up chatter of the African francophone nations reneging on their colonial tax payments to France for the infrastructure built under colonialism. Soberg is going to provide assistance should France retaliate. A map of Africa appeared in Bollinger's mind and he visualized the large chunk that France still had neo-colonial ties to through their currency and bilateral agreements for natural resources like uranium. I am saying it here and will put it in writing that America will stay on the sidelines if France and Soberg go head to head. America will pick up whatever opportunities come our way, said Bollinger. Yes, Mr. President. That is the reason I made friends with Soberg a long time ago, so America will benefit in the long run, said Bollinger. I see. Soon Soberg will come around to sharing that new element with us once he sees that there is no pressure. Yes, Mr. President. The agents in our African bases will be notified. Bollinger's feelings on France were not personal because he knew that the French looked after their interests. It was a common statecraft which all nations practiced. What made Bollinger grin was that Soberg had sidelined T'Challa. That was genius, thought Bollinger. Chapter 5. In spy circles, a provocateur fed false information to cause trouble for the benefit of the person who controlled him. T'Challa believed that he was watching a provocateur. The man was a secret associate of Soberg. Wakanda's files stated that the two met when Soberg was a field doctor in war-torn areas of Africa. I blanked out, said Olatunji to the operations chief of the OAS Peace and Security Council who was stationed in Equatorial Guinea. And he was Soberg's associate. Strange, said the operations chief. Very much so, said Olatunji. Where are the bombs? Still on the trains, I believe. I will put out an alert that an anonymous tip stated that there are bombs on the trains. It will not have the same impact as actual detonations, but it will have to do for now. Agreed, said Olatunji. The meeting ended and Olatunji left the skyscraper office. T'Challa did a standard tag of both men, then he returned to Wakanda to have a meeting with his sister Commander Shuri and General Okoye on the developments. Okoye listened and said, "These people are not Wakandan. Why should we intervene? Our duties are for Wakanda's interests." She has a point, said Shuri. Wakanda is not endangered in any way. Soberg knows he can never come here with any force even if the O grants him more authority through these fear tactics of his. I offered security intelligence to the O chairperson, but I will have to reconsider now that I know that Soberg has planted officials in the O's hierarchy, said T'Challa. What about Nakia? Asked Okoye. Is her mission still needed? Yes, for the time being, replied T'Challa. How do we treat with France since a confrontation between them and Africa is about to happen? Asked Shuri. I think France will approach me because of my feud with Soberg. I have alliances with certain French vigilantes who will be used by the French Secret Service, replied T'Challa, and he continued, the issues with the O, foreign criminals and France will develop into something further. Wakanda may not be able to do anything publicly, but I will intervene in a private capacity. Just to be clear. You want no help or backup from Wakanda, said Okoye. None whatsoever. I will operate on my own, said T'Challa. T'Challa went to a fishing village in the northeast border of Wakanda where he was temporarily staying. He kept his body fit by flipping an 8-ton, 7 feet tall, cube along the river bed while holding his breath for an hour. Finally the call came from his friend in France. Her name was Guillotine and he knew her from when his father T'Chaka almost wiped out her family. Next story, Statecraft.